the one that I had in mind was whenever my husband, we were up there a couple of weeks ago, and it was just the most gorgeous sunset. And because I'd been doing a lot of plein air painting, everybody assumed I would be painting that, but I just couldn't be bothered. Isn't that terrible? I was like, nope, I don't want my paints out, because I only had oils with me, which if any of you have tried oils just cover everything. It's not like you can just wash it off. So no matter what I was doing, I was covering everything in oil. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So he said, I'll go down and take a wee photo and you can paint it the next time. Well, I should show you it on my phone. It's just mostly cars and then grass, and then there's just this wee slither of sky. So that's why we're going to go for the one that I have given you. I have also printed it out here, but I think we're going to add a little bit more pink. It's very blue. It's kind of more dusk really than sunsetty, isn't it? So around here, we're going to put lovely little pinks. And the angle that it's at, if you've been to Port Bantry, I know you have, Anne. I'm sure everybody has.
Oh, yes.
I love it up there, so I'm totally indulging in it. But the angle that this is at, it's kind of just on the way up the hill. So we've got a little bit more of the headland here. Last week I was swimming out here, and now I'll never look at it the same again. But and then this is the harbour here. Because it's so dark, we actually have the harbour ends about here, but this is our shadow. But we're going to start with just putting a little bit. Do you have extra paper if we do a little practice line drawing? Or don't worry if you don't. Do you just have, you do? Or we can start straight on it. Let's start straight on it, because ticking time bomb with those kids for me. And I am going to use, this is just an 8B that I have, but here we go. I've done a few practices. I'm going to just show you one of the ones. So when you're doing any of your headlands, I'm a stickler for horizon. I thought this would be a good place to do it, but it feels like it's quite bright. I'm a stickler for horizons, but actually the way that I started this one was I brought in the headland first, and then I added in the horizon here, and then I brought in a little bit of the harbour, and then I indicated just with a finer line of my pen, and then just a little boat. It's almost like a little gesture drawing when we're doing things at speed like this. So you can follow me now. I'm going to start. Sorry, I was just showing you one of the practices. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start from the left, and we're going to basically about a third of the way down. We're going to start with, I'm going to actually do, will I use something so you can see a bit better? Charcoal. Also feel free to get started if you want to do it, just going on those instructions of starting with your headland, but if not, you can follow me. So we're going to just go along here and then down, and we go nearly across to the other side really with this, okay? And then it just comes down into a little bit of a, you know, like a little mountainous scene. Brilliant. And really just the way you did anything, just bring that back then. Right over the other side. And then that's taken into account then where horizon is. So just where this little bump is here, that's where the horizon goes out. And just take that straight across. Oops, take that straight, as straight as you can, across to the other side. And that is the horizon. That's where our water meets the sky. And just behind, I'm pretty sure that's about the skerries you can see there. So just in there, there was a little bit of a bump. It's another little line there. Very small. Oh. Don't worry. Everything can be drawn over. This is all just your gestural side of it, so don't panic. And then over here, so down where the horizon is, and then taken into where this piece of land ends, we're going to really come about an inch down, and you're going to go across. It's a wee bit bumpy, and down then where those rocks, take them down. And we're going to start to break into this headland a little bit. And then we go back, and there's a little bit of the harbour goes down and then back in. It's a bit like that. Well, you can look at your image closer too, but you'll see that. Yeah. Okay, and then here, I'm all over the place here. So then this is just, I've just done this, and then, you know, what is it you call those posts?
Posts.
They're just posts. Those posts in the water, those ones that you don't want to swim into. And then I love the idea of these little boats, okay? So just where we are, the way the boat is going to be, it's really just like, make sure you've got your perspective. So it's going to be small, okay? But the way that I've done it in that is really, it's just a little triangle, really, with a soft bottom and a wee bit going up. And it's great to see how many of you are working away and looking at mine, but trusting the pencil. That's really good to see, so that you're not just relying on every mark being exact. And then over where I'm going to put another little boat here. So same thing, just your line across, and then you're really, it's just like a wee banana.
A banana.
That's enough. Banana. It's a boat. It's your boat. But whenever it comes to them, the way that it works is your shadow comes down onto the boat like that. You know, that sort of starts to indicate your little shadow. Same way with over here when it comes to, you just do, it's just like a little one of those butterfly drawings that you open up. So you're just indicating your little shadow.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I want you to do, just to get your head around it, is to, over the way the water goes, it gets so calm at night. You know that when it's so still, there's a lovely still night. And we're going to just put in just use your pencil very lightly, and you're indicating where those nice circular ripples are. Only really for our benefit, but. Wonderful. Right. So you can use that if that's your page that you've got, but otherwise we can go over it one more time. Did you use a practice page for that, or did you use what you're going to paint on?
What I'm painting on?
Painting on. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. So, well, that's good. That's kind of enough for us. I'm going to just rub mine out ever so slightly because mine is the soft pastel and it can be quite harsh.
What is this headland here?
Is this it? This headland was a mistake on mine.
All right.
Ignore that. Oh, is it? Sorry. Yeah, no, that one should be straight. That was me going up, because sometimes I'm trying to look at how to get another camera so that I can paint like this, because the workshops are great, but I find myself a bit skew it. Okay, so now just take your paint brushes and your water, and we're going to get mixing with some paint.
Seems big.
So I have paints on one board, and then I have another board to mix on. So we're going to just keep water on our brush. So dip your water into your brush. And what we're going to do now is just some color mixing. I always like to mix a few colors so that we have a little bit of prepared before we start. So the way this is, if your style is, what I'm loving about the group is seeing everybody's different style. And what I love about these is that we all end up with something different because we're mixing our own colors. But this is it doesn't need to be totally realistic like this, okay? I want this to be your impression on this Friday afternoon of what we're doing. So we're going to basically look at it in terms of tones. So we obviously have our really dark tones down here, but you'll see that kind of mirror effect, okay? Up here as well. Mine will probably end up I always like to start very dark, and I would rather bring it lighter. You'll see there's whites here, yellows, oranges, peaches, and again those are reflected in our sea. And here we're going to basically do navies and dark grays, okay? Let's get started. Okay, paintbrush, water, and let's start with Faithful Blues. We've got our blues here. We're going to take a good bit of blue to begin with. Any color blue that you've got. You're going to put that down onto your mixing board or the side there. And then you're going to take a little dab of black. So, I mean, like there's the dab that I have there. It's just on my brush. You're going to mix that in, and this is where we start to make our navies. Now mine needs a little bit more. That you'll know from any of my teaching and mixing before, you need very little of the dark and you need a lot of the white, you know, any lighter shade or lighter yellow. But I just am always tentative with black because it really can just ruin shades. But you'll see there, you'll start to get a navy. Doesn't matter if it's different from mine, if it's, that's the whole. Okay, and then whatever, so that, yeah, just as long as you mix the colors so you get a true solid color. Okay, then we're going to dip our water. Don't clean your brush, keep the paint on your brush. You're going to dip a little bit of water into that, and whatever's on your brush, roll it off there so you get a little bit of that navy bit here. Okay, a little bit of water. And then we're going to take, you're going to dip into the white, okay? So dip just, well, I've actually nearly too much, but a little blob of white. And you're going to mix that in. So you start, I love, once you do this, where you see these lovely chalky blues that you'll start to get, but it'll be a dark chalk blue. Either way, right now you should have 2 shades of blue using your black and your white.
Just don't know if I've got enough.
Yeah, that's great. Even if it's nice and light like that with Anne. Yeah, lovely. You've got a nice shade of blue there. I'm using ultramarine. Okay, same thing again. Just dip whatever's on your brush, dip into water. And you're going to roll that off. And you're going to take another chunk of blue. We're going to mix quite a big bit here. So big chunk of blue and a big chunk of white. And you're going to mix so you get a lighter blue again. That is great. Okay, we're going to make a shade, like a little bit of a purpley kind of shade. So same thing, just dip your water, you brush into water, roll off the paint so you've got it on there a little bit, and then dip into your red, whatever red you have. I think mine's, mine is, you know, red base. Oh, don't worry, am I going too fast? Okay.
No, no, no.
Whatever you get there, look, and then you're going to go on the purple shade, and that will really start to remind you, it reminds me of those dusky colors. Look at that lovely deep blue purple. You know, it's mine's nearly more blue than purple, but and just trust the process. Whatever color you get, that's going to be lovely and complementary to your other colors, because you'll still have those little grains of paint left on your brush. Good, and don't worry if they're all different. Now, clean your brush completely if you can. And then you're going to take blue again. We're going to basically make a lighter, slightly lighter version of this blue. So a big chunk of blue, a big chunk of white, nearly more white than blue. You're going to get that slightly lighter blue. Nearly sky blue, cornflower blue. And if you can, just dip into your navy or scoop a little bit of your very first navy and add that in as well. And just gradually add that in.
All right.
So you're basically making a light blue and then you're adding in that first navy. There you go, and you're starting to get good. I love blue. I think it might be my favorite color. Super, and just keep adding water. Water will keep it mixing. Okay, and we're going to get started now putting it onto our page. So whatever your light blue is that you've just been working on with the white and blue and then a little bit of your navy, load that up onto your brush with enough water. You'll need quite a bit of water. Whenever we're using water on the page, it actually is, there's a lovely smoothness about it in comparison to the canvas. So I want you to enjoy the application of the paint too. So this is our lighter blue, and we're going to just add that on. Keep water in your brush and let that flow. You're going to bring that about halfway down your sky. And let your brush, you don't need to keep adding lots of paint. Let there be that opacity or opacity there. See where it starts to lighten up a little bit, so it's a bit heavier up here. Just let that be and just allow it, enjoy the paint side to side. And when you're running out of paint, just keep adding your water. And look, we're going to try and pull that down and let it be nice and nearly watercolory there, you see? Where you get it. Lovely, good work, everybody. And we're just pulling the paint down and let it go nice and watery there, because that's where we're going to go over. Watery is not a very technical term. Opaque. Okay, because then we're going to add our yellows over that. Lovely. Now, one of our darker colors here, we're going to add in. So a little bit of water on your brush. Choose whichever one of these you want. I don't mind which one you go for. I'm probably going to go for the darker of the three. So one of your dark blues. And don't worry about there being a little bit of light paint on. And just add water to that to bring it back to life if it's kind of gone down. And we're going to put, you see the corners up here? That's where you're going to start to add in here, that dark, where the haze really starts to meet. And again, blend those two with your water here. And I've gone for just one of my dark colors in the middle. I know I said a lot, but it really is just about layers, layering and trusting the layers. Now you can see here mine are quite dominant, darker and lighter. So the way to bring that together is just, again, I was saying there about turning your brush on its side a little bit and drawing the paint down with water on your brush. Okay, you've got that real moodiness there. Okay, whatever you have on your brush as well, can you dip some it into water a little bit there? And then our horizon we're going to bring in, it's going to skip a little bit of a gap where the yellow is going to be. And then I'm going to try and paint over my big brown headland, which wasn't a headland. I'm going to add in there. And really what we're doing here is we're just setting the tone. So whatever you have on your brush, I want you just to add in a little bit down here, because I personally like when there's a little bit of harmony. We'll probably paint over this, but it's nice to have, I think it's really nice for the viewer to have that harmony in the eye, a little bit of language from the top to the bottom. So I'm just, whatever I have on my brush, even a few dry brush marks there. Okay. Oh, who's got a dog?
Me?
Oh, we pooch. Okay, remember our dark purpley shade here? If you can bring it back to life, I talk about bringing them back to life because it dries into this board because I'm out of palettes. Keep forgetting. Get more paint to forget the palettes. So I'm bringing that back to life by just adding water to it. And I'm going to line it along where the horizon was, just one wee neat line. That's my dark purpley color. And again, if you feel really inspired and want to just keep going on your own, please do. But this, we're going to go the dark purpley bit down at the very bottom. So this is where it's really dark at the bottom here. And just water on your brush, bring your purpley, or purple or dark, whatever you have. If you choose your dark navy, that's totally fine as well. They were all mixed from the same palette, so it'll work. And if you need to mix some more paint, that's fine. Just remember your purple one is a bit of blue, little dollop of red. And then if you want to add a wee tiny bit of black, that can also make it nice and moody. That's for along the bottom here. Just make sure you mix them. You can see there I haven't fully mixed mine. And let that water, so rather than draw the paint down, you're going to let that water on your brush when the paint is fading to draw the paint up. So that you've just those nice layers. Good work. Look already where we've got to. Just trust yourself and trust that this is all like it's just like an experiment with paint. There's no right or wrong. It's the beauty of it. Good. Okay, see our lighter blue that we had earlier, or one of your blues. If your lighter blue you have, you're going to add a little bit of yellow to it. So even if your lighter blue's gone and you need to bring it back to life, you need to add it, just make a light blue with blue, lots of white, and then a little dollop of yellow. And what this does is you get on the turquoise scale. Now, turquoise is a bit of a tricky one. I sometimes get very frustrated with turquoise. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you want you to show me your turquoise, I will still be able to tell you because I know that it will be on the turquoise scale. If it's too green, add a little bit more blue. But just trust it.
Oh, so add yellow, was it?
That's a little bit of yellow. I put a very little bit of yellow into my light blue, yeah. And then just keep mixing. Sometimes the more you mix, the more it comes together. Well, most times, but often when you're really losing the will with it, you can be like, oh.
What have you got?
I've got a green.
Yes, so that was what I was going to say. So whatever you've got, scoop it up and set it to the side again. So roll off whatever you've got and then add blue to it and a little bit of white. You need more of the blue. Tanya, I love that. You see that jadey color behind? Did you mix that, or was that what? You see that in the abstract? That gorgeous turquoisey.
It's like a tilly color.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah.
Right. I don't remember if it came like that or a mix. I think it was a mistake. It just went sort of okay.
Lovely, lovely. I love anything those colors are. Yes, there's your turquoise. That's lovely, Anne. Yep. Add a little bit more blue to it so it starts to be on the very. We're going to bring that in above this last layer here. So you want there to be a little bit of a seamless. It'll be different because you can see mine's very different from the dark blue, and that's okay because we don't want everything to be the same. But keep it on the blue scale with a little bit of white in it, maybe too. And once you get that, but definitely yes, you've got the turquoise perfectly. Whatever you've got on your turquoise, we're going to then add it in here. And I love this. Look, you start to get these lighter layers coming up now, okay? And to join these two together, I would advise bringing the paint down, and then you get a lovely blend between the two. And over here where the harbour is anyway, it'll be darkened again anyway, so.
So what am I doing?
So this is your turquoise. You're putting turquoise on now. If you've got your turquoise done, your turquoise is going to go over this dark purple at the very bottom. And if you're ahead a little bit there, this is where the turquoise is also going to go along the horizon underneath where your dark purple was there. And whatever you've got in your brush of your turquoise, if you've got that done, dip it into the water again. And I want you just to put a little bit over here where the shadows are. This is where the shadow's going to be of the headland. And it only really goes so far. I'm just going to. Just over here. It's your turquoise. We could bring a little bit more in over here. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way.
Oh, thank you for running it.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it. I actually do. It brings me a lot of happiness. Okay.
It might not by the time I'm finished this might.
No, stop that. Stop that. I can't wait to see. Does anybody want me to see how you're getting on at the minute? Does anybody want a little bit of help? You're all following so studiously. Good. Everyone's going for it. Has everyone got the easels up there? Anne, have you got an easel? Tanya, you're working an easel?
Yeah.
The girls are like me with the hand. I quite like that. Sometimes the paper, you can move it around, can't you? Okay, so let's get this sea kind of wrapped up before we add in our next one. So turquoise, big chunk of blue. White, that's white, not blue. Add that in, please. To whatever, even if there's a little drag of turquoise left, just add that in so you get a very light version.
Oh.
Okay, keep adding your water there. And just, I always like to, I do it instinctively because obviously I've been painting so long, but I love to roll off whatever excess is on because you always get that nice wee dregs of some other shade and it just makes it a bit more exciting. So with this nice light, very light, mine's very light grey tones to it there, you can see, but it's mostly on the turquoise. And all we're going to do with this is going to fill in over here and draw it across to meet this darker turquoise. So you're drawing it from the right hand side across. Yep. And then we're also going to fill in, you can go over your little boat if you want or keep your boat, just try to make it as flowy around it as possible, as seamless around it as possible. And we're going to bring that up to the turquoise too. So this is our light turquoisey bluey grey color. And again, let's blend these three so we don't have these three big blocks. And I know, you just trust, have a look at your painting, see where you need to blend it. If it's too much white coming down, give your brush a really good clean. Maybe dip into one of your darks again so you can bring that back up. But I just really just touched it with the paint there. Good, everybody working away. So we nearly have just a little gap really in the middle left. Now, if we were spending all day on this, I would be, you know, we would be really grating that and we would be doing it so we didn't have any little white patches, but an hour is a blooming good time to thrash out a painting.
Oh dear. Lovely.
Okay. See, even when you've got that little bit of sky blue, okay, what I'm doing here now is I have really very little left of it. I have a very wet brush. I'm just going to lift a little bit onto that and blend it in on this side of my sky, because again, it's that thing of, you know, it might seem like very little what you're doing, but when you add in anything like that is also down in the bottom of the painting, it adds to that real mirror image, okay? Just let yourself add a little bit. Doesn't even matter if it's very simple, but just a little bit over the top. Good. Now, give your brush a good clean. If you need to clean your water, do so. But if you just have a rag, you can get your brush nice and clean. The other cool thing is we're probably all doing this with one brush, which again is very impressive. So now what you're going to need is your yellow. Look at the amount of paint I have out for this tiny. That would break someone's heart. They would waste on that. The good thing is then hopefully what I'll do is come back later and try to use it up somehow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for yellow. Put it on your mixing plate. Now, you can clean your brush so if you don't want to dirty your red. But look, I want you just to touch a little bit of red. We're going to go on the peach scale, but that still might be too much for mine. We're going to mix that into our yellow. Whatever yellow you have, you might have a more lemon yellow, you might have a more sunflower yellow. But mix it in so you start to get on the orange scale. Here's the phone. Huh?
Yes.
In demand. Okay,
Nice.
and if you've got that color, now, this is where I want you just to take your time. It's quite harsh, but there is a time and a place for it, okay? So I've got it on my brush, but I really want you to just use the point of the brush to just draw a little bit of a line, and it's really right the way across, right? Of that bright yellowy orange that you've got. Just the very tip of the brush. And add a little bit more paint. One of my favorite things to do in any of these dusk things is you're going to end up having to bring it back in anyway later because you're going to put it on the harbor. But the harbor has a light and the light is going into the water. So you're going to then just the side of your brush, you're just going to touch it ever so slightly. It's tiny, but you know, we know it's there. And then there's another one just over here. Around the area of you want two little marks where your lights are. Right, and then what we're going to do is remember I said about to bring anything lighter, you need a lot of white. So we're going to brighten this up. And we're going to really start to go on the lemon scale. So that color that you mixed, add a big chunk of white. Remember, water on your brush, roll the paint off. We're going to use that in a minute. You just need white for your yellow. But before we do, take a little bit of that, set it to the side, and then dip into your red again. Now, I'm going for a little dip of red.
Oh.
And we're going to bring peaches in here, okay? But it'll be in a lovely, what do you say? It'll be a nice, soft, peachy scale. you're adding a little touch of red to the lemony yellow color. Well done. Now, don't get rid of that off your brush, but do put a little bit of water and have enough of it on your brush. And see this can all be painted over. Some people get really like stressed about this. This can all be painted over if you want, but just trust adding this in, okay? I'm going to add in some peach clouds up here, and then I'm going to draw it in along here as well. Everything can be lightened up, and same way with our effect of this is where the sun can reach through the headland. So then you're going to add in that lovely peachy color. Look at that. We start to bring a little bit of life.
The second one. This.
Your peach. Okay. See that peach as well? It kind of lingers around the horizon a bit too. So same thing again, just at the point of your brush, underneath the yellow line, right along the horizon. Just let that go down into there, over the top of whatever blue you have. Start to get your nice layers again. Mine's so harsh looking with those lines. I'm sure yours are much gentler, softer looking. Now the peach as well, whatever's on the horizon will come down the bottom. So over the top, I've put a lot of water on my brush. So it's on there. And then I'm just going to draw it down a little bit where those two turquoises met. Don't worry if it, like this is me just adding in though. Good. Moist your brush again, and if you can go back to your blues for just a second, any blue. Well, I've one blue that I hadn't even really used. It was the in-between one after the navy. So any blue that I'm going for this blue, and I've got a little bit of yellow on my brush. But what I'm just going to do here is just add in a few more blue lines to meet in with my peach there. Any blue you can get really, that's, and same with down here, just a little bit more. Water is not uniform, so it's okay if you have, and sky is rarely that either. So really just tidying up a little bit of the blending with your blue and your peaches. Good work, everybody. And if it seems really harsh, remember just add a little bit of water and then draw that across. It can never be as harsh as these lines. I might whiten those lines out actually. You're annoying me. There we go. It's a bit better. Should have whitened it. Okay. So for our lemon now, go back to your nice lemony color. I might actually make mine, no, I'm going to use my lemon. The lemon that we mixed at the start using, or that one there, we are going to now fill in all our gaps, but we're going to bring it from left to right. I want you to have lemon on this side, and I want you to have lemon on this side. So both sides, putting your lemon down and drawing it right across the side. Oh, lovely. Look at the warmth in that. Great.
And I've filled up my space.
Yeah, just enjoy the flow of the paint. I can see how wonky mine is, but I don't even really think I mind right now. It's okay. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to bring that yellow. Again, we were talking about the tip of the brush. This is good. Most people have a round brush. If you have a flat brush, I love the flat brush. Just have it so the end of the brush, right? So you're just going to use that end, and we're going to start to introduce those ripples But you're going to come over here, we're going to add in a little bit of the yellow, and then using the tip of the brush with water on it, mine needed a bit more water, you're drawing the paint over in that curved way. Even if all you have is little lines, you can see here some of mine are just showing little wisps. If it's too dominant, take a little bit of blue, clean your brush, a little bit of blue and bring it back. But don't worry, I actually think this is a case where less is not more. I think it's nice to have more of the brights. And use that yellow then to start to form round where our harbour is, because it's really, it hugs into the head, it's not headland, the concrete there. That yellow's really hugging in here. We're going to bring it up to meet. There we go. Lovely. Okay, just for fun before we do, oh no, we'll finish off with fun, right? Let's save the fun to the end. Okay, let's mix a grey, which is kind of, it's relatively boring, but I want you to mix a grey and then a navy. So I want it to be a dark grey, because what we're going to fill in now is these two headlands, but I don't want it really harsh black. I know in this it is, but well, if you really love harsh black, definitely go for it. I want it to be as dark as you can get a grey. So really what you need for that is just, you know that black is so dominant. So skip of black and a little bit of white. Get a real heavy, it's like gunmetal grey, really, would you say? You can tell I've been looking at cars. My car died, so gunmetal grey is the name of a car colour. Okay, and that will be, there'll be a lovely feel about that black. Black, even though it's so dominant, or those dark shades of black really do flow very well, I find. I don't know whether it's just the pigment in the paint, but you're going to get water in your brush, a little bit of that dark grey that you've got, and then look at the image if you can. And let's tighten up these lines now to get across. So we're going to go from the left-hand side, goes up a wee bit where that house is, and then you're going to come down and there's a little bit of a bump. Sorry, my white from blending out has just come in everywhere here, which really was a bit of an oversight. So you're filling in that headland is really what you're doing. In the dark grey, almost black grey. Yours will be tighter than mine. Now, you want it to be dark enough that you can see it stand out in the water, so remember that. Lovely. Look, it's starting to come together. Take a moment to look at what you've made in a short space of time. Very short space of time. Same with that, use that same shade to come over to the side, and we're going to do our harbour. So again, it's a little bit bitsy. It's a bit like steps and stairs going up. And we go to the back, and then those rocks. My boys love the harbour down there. Now, the way that the harbour wall goes, so you've got your dominant here, but I want that's where you're, say that it ends there, right? So do your big blurb on this side. This bit here is going to be, it's kind of like a shadow. So I'd love you to try and, right, no, I'm not would love you to, I would like you to follow me. The black, the dark grey that you've got, you're all keeping up really, really well. Really well. I don't mean that in a patronising way. I mean that in a proud way. So take blue and mix that into your really gunmetal grey that I was saying there. Then you start to get a very heavy navy. And that's where you're going to fill down there. Now you might think that makes no difference. That's you're going to fill in that little gap there. But it really will. And we're also going to put that in over on the other headland, where that house is, you know, or it's not, is it the houses on the hill, isn't it? I'm not. And you don't need to fill in like windows or anything. Just want you to indicate that it's there. Like there's your two navy spots down under the really, really heavy navy, and then up above the top. with that same heavy navy, we're going to reintroduce our posts in the ground. So because of time scale, the easiest way to do that is kind of a line, not kind of a line. My husband says kind of, and I hate it. I've obviously just picked that up. Sorry. Actually, really, my husband's wonderful. I've said bad things about his picture taking too. So I don't mean that there. And then we're going to add in our posts. Your posts are going to get bigger as they get closer to you, just to add in your perspective. And if you could add in the grey with that too, it makes it a little less flat rather than one colour, even if your posts are a different shade to yours. So your dark grey and your navy is what you're using for your posts. Sorry, I'm just checking my phone because I have a customer collecting a print. I'm going to make sure my children have passed it over to her because I worry. I'm just going to call her actually, if that's okay, because I worry the kids missed her when she was on. Esther, it's Ali. I'm still teaching. Were my kids here? Or were you able to get your print?
No, I'm coming back now. There's another girl there with her kids as well. Only when the kids might go to Belfast Reading.
Ah, no, sorry. I'm so sorry, Esther. They're sitting here. They're sitting. I'm going to leave them at the front door and you just open the door and pick whichever one, okay? I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, Esther. Bye, bye, bye. Ah, there you go. Glad I rang her. Halfway home. Right. So, how's everybody getting on?
Yeah.
Quiet, right? Okay. Let's add in our two boats, and then we're going to finish with pinks and our whites. So boat, same thing, that really dark navy, or mix yourself a nice new grey. And we're just going to go into that wee triangle with the round bottom and that lovely wee line. Just get a lovely wee fine line where the boat is, and then your wee banana boat, which is not a banana boat. You'd go along and underneath. And then your darker, so this is for your boat. So you can use the same effect as we've done before. Use your dark grey, maybe on top there, and then use the navy. You'll think again that they're very similar. They might be, but they're still tonally different. So, and then use your navy maybe for that mirror effect underneath. Nice and gently and lightly. And the same with the boat over here.
That's my boat.
You are implying that a boat is there. It doesn't need to be oh, I forgot my little, you can add in, you see there where you've got your mast of the boat, just even touch one wee line down here. And that'll indicate the shadow. Oh, mine's wonky, but sorry. Right, while you've got the dark on there, I would like you to just have a think about tightening up these lines here. Maybe adding in a few little, if it juts out a wee tiny bit there at the harbour wall. Maybe just add in a few little, anything that's just been brushed over. Tighten up your headland before we get rid of the darks. Tighten up any wee bumps. And if you want, remember there was that little bit of headland behind, which I think maybe is the Scaries. You can add that in there as well, using grey or adding white to one of your navy or your gunmetal grey. Just make sure it's light enough that it stands out or dark enough that it stands out. There we go. done, everyone. We don't want to get entirely rid of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in navy again, but using the gunmetal grey that I have. So it's black, a little bit of white, and then I'm adding in to make a really dark navy again. So I've got this dark navy blue color. And what I want to do is, like, this is lovely to me, but it's also very harsh. So what I want you to do is that really dark navy, have it so there's a little bit in your brush, but it's mostly water. And then I want you to start to put in here very, they're light, but they are, you're really showing that here is where there is a shadow. Okay, this is gonna, yes, it's gonna seem quite dark, but it's gonna soften the overall feel of the painting because there is always a reflection. Same with over here. I'm going to add in a little bit where the turquoise meets the side of the harbour, that navy. I'm going to add in even more shadow. And I'm going to use it on the tip of my brush over here to draw in where the yellow was. I'm going to also, and I'm going over the top over the Buddhas too. I'm really showing where the, you're just tidying it all up and making a little bit more harmonious there. You can see my lines are quite prominent there, but I think that's good. So that's the wispy ones we're doing with the yellow, but what we're doing now is just on the tip of the brush with the navy. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I'd love to be going there this weekend.
Oh,
Okay, last fun color before we finish off with a very bright white is a little touch of, and I've got a little touch of red and a big bit of white, and we're going to mix a pink. Whatever, so mostly white really, mostly white, a little bit. And you're going to get a real baby pink. Do any of you have any of your peach left?
yeah.
Yeah, take it a little bit into it as well, even if it only just touches it. Bring that into the pink too, your peach, so that it softens it a little bit. Lovely. Now, really light pink. If you love your picture at the minute and you don't want to add that to it, that is totally fine. If you do, I would, oh, do you know what? Let's just embrace it. So water on your brush, quite, not loaded with paint. Have it so there's that little bit of watery opacity to it. Opacity. And I'm going to fill in here just little bits of pink and over the top of some of my yellow. And then back down here again too. Fill in those wee gaps. And the lovely thing about the pink is I think it goes over the blue really nicely, but you're just doing it very gently across. And I'm going to add in one or two wee lights or a little bit of depth here where the harbour is with the pink, starting to get just a wee bit more so it's not just as blocky looking. And then you can add in a wee pink cloud in the very, very sky if you want. Just keeping water on your brush. If it's too much for you, bring a little bit of your blue back in. Well done. I cannot wait to see these.
You're not going to?
Yeah. Oh, please do. This is what I was saying. I will love, if I put whatever you have, if I put that in front of you, you would find joy in it and you would compliment it. You're always so harsh of your own. Like, this is our impression of it, and this is whirlwind. It's kind of the way I like to teach, but there's times I can't. That's why I can't wait to hopefully get a retreat sometime going, because I would love those longer times, which we'll really get to in the academy anyway. Last thing is big chunk of white.
I haven't got any white.
Oh, no white left. That doesn't matter. Who's out of white?
I can,
There's
yeah, I
that-
can switch. Yeah, I can scooch a wee bit out of the tube, I think.
this is all you need. Is all you really need. You're making a white with a little bit of blue, so it's more of an ice white. And all we're doing with that is, don't worry if you are at the. We're only just going to bring it in here little bits. You need very little. Even if you've just white out of the tube straight on there without mixing with blue. And we're going to just bring it up. See where the headland is? You start to just sharpen with that headland. And look at how we're overlapping. Let that happen. So it's that white icy blue with lots of water on it. And you can bring it in other places. All right.
Sorry, where was the white?
Just here. This was just along here. And then the most important bit of it, what you're doing with it is with a little bit of water on it, is pulling it down along here so it really makes this part of your headland stand out. That's where the light's coming in. You want people to see where the light comes in. So if you look at the light coming in to our harbour, there's exactly where it goes. So it's just here, that real bright white's here, just the other side of the headland and in. Now my battery's running down on this. Well, that is, and the charger's inside, of course. Well done. I'll not force you to show me, although I was saying recently that I had like a pitch for a corporate thing and they said, you know, do people really not like to show you? And I was like, pretty much everybody always shows me theirs. So I hope that you feel comfortable enough to do it. I hope you know that I appreciate your time, and see that mixing, just let that kind of stay with you like for the next few hours. You made something in a short space of time, and I'm really proud of you even if you don't feel it. But if you'd love to show me, I'd love to see them. You have to or even just a glance. Beautiful, Jan, look at that.
Thanks. Really purple.
Gorgeous, Audrey, lovely. Look at the warmth in that.
Yeah. warm.
And look at everybody else's too. Anne, lovely, lovely curve as well. Let's see, Tanya, we nearly missed it.
Oh,
Look at your purples, gorgeous.
I
Guys, would
think
you
I'll
mind me
stick to
getting
my
one?
abstracts.
No, they're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Could we do one, even if you cover your faces? Can I get one wee photo and I'll put mine in it too? Are you happy for me? Do you know what? I'll stop recording if you want. That's probably wise for me to do that. Stop recording.